How do you shoot green screen with the Fositan LED softbox home studio? Hello, welcome to iansstudio. I'm Ian Butterfield, and this is my second video in my series of videos about the Fositan LED home studio. And this time we're going to look at how to use the green screen setup. Full disclosure at this point, Fositan provided me with the kit in return for reviews and tutorials such as this one. However, the opinions I share are my own, both the good and the bad will be on here. So it's a totally fair, unbiased review that you're going to get. So in the previous video you saw me unpack all the kit. This time I want to just show you certain bits of it in use, basically the green screen setup. So what have we got? Well, we've got the two background stands, and you may recall from my previous video that one of them wouldn't fasten up properly. Basically the nut that tightens up was swiveling around in the plastic. The plastic was a bit soft for it, but having taken everything out, I've been set of pliers on it, and I've been able to tighten all that up, so the stands are solid. Now, green screen, I've got a comment about the material on there to say it is really good cotton material. I'm very impressed with it in terms of the material. I have my own green screen which is sitting behind this this white background, but this is nicely made. We've got a loop for the poles to go through. My only quibble with it is the width. That's the maximum width. I mean, I can stretch my hands further apart than the green screen, but there's still a lot that we can actually do with this, and we can still use it in lots of ways. So, right, let me get it on the background. I mentioned before about the poles. Now, the poles come, well, there's four sections to the crossbar, and hopefully you can see if I just come forward, you can see you've got a larger hole on that one and smaller hole on there. And basically two of them have got the larger holes, and those are your end pieces, and then there's two of these pieces which can be used as center. Now, two of these together are just not quite long enough for the length of the material. So I'm just going to put in one of the extension pieces in the middle of it. So it's getting it the wrong way around, and that's the extension piece. So that just goes in there. That goes on there, and I'm just going to drop one end on there. And because I'd checked this before, that will fit on there. I'm now going to just grab one end of this and I'll feed it onto the bar. So I'll just feed that along until it's in the middle. Pop the bar back on top. Like so. Now, they do come with securing wing nuts to go on top, and I've got those here. So just pop the washer on top of there and wing nut. Just give it a couple of turns. No need to bring it all the way down. In fact, there's a very good reason for not bringing it all the way down, and that is as we put the poles up to the full height, we want to have enough scope for it to be able to tilt. So if I do this side first, you can see I can go up that far on the tilt, not fully up to maximum height yet. I can now, this side, go up. That's as high as it goes. And again, here, I'll just release that. That's as high as it goes. And what I've done with the splaying of the feet on these, I've put them so that they are The bars are horizontal to give me the maximum spread of the feet for maximum stability, and that just takes the height of the bar up to this point. So finally this top section just goes up a fraction on there, and that is the maximum height I can get from it. Now, with green screen techniques, what you need to do is you really need this to be as taut as possible. Ideally, I ought to iron this to get the creases out. However, depending on the green screen software that you're using, it should be fairly tolerant with that. So I'm just going to use a couple of clamps just to try and pull this over as far as I can. I've got one on there and another one on here. Now it's nice that Fositan provide you with the A-clamps to do that. They actually provide a whole set of them, and the idea being that you should be able to then put the sides on, but of course the dimensions don't quite work on that. So either you end up with the poles just inside there, which means you get a very narrow feed on it, and it's, yeah, you can stretch it, or you have it like that, like I have it in the middle with it. So I'm just going to spread this out, and it goes down to floor level. It doesn't come out very far. As you can see, that's my green screen background, and that's the area I'm working with on there. Now I need to light it. Now at the moment, the lights which are on here are my standard studio lights, which they're fixed into the ceiling, so I've got general illumination for when I'm doing videos. So a little bit later I'm going to turn those off, so we're just working with the Fositan lights. So before I do that, let me show you how I set up the Fositan lights. Right, the stands, they're fairly lightweight, which is both good and bad, to be perfectly honest with you. It means they're not as stable as some of the stands I would normally use here in the studio, but they're lovely and light. If you're going on location, you've got to carry all your gear with you. This is an option for you because it's nice and light, and I can imagine myself using these if I've got to do a quick video for somebody and they can't come to the studio. Taking something like this with me that's not too heavy to carry around is a really good option. So I'm just going to bring it up to this sort of height to start with, because that's easy to work with. Then I shall put it up to the full height. Now with green screen, one of the important things is to illuminate the background separately from your subject. And ideally, we normally say really a few meters between your subject and your green background. So the problem with this though, as I'll explain later, is the angles. Because that's not terribly high, I'm not the tallest person in the world. I'm only 5'7". So if you are a 6 foot tall person wanting to use this standing up, you might have some problems. But someone my height or smaller, probably not a problem with the height that we're at on there. But let me get the lights set up and we can talk about that in a short while. Right, so in the box we have an adapter and a plug, and what this is, again, if I can just come in to show you, you can just see that if basically the LED light screws into there. We have a plug which will go in, and that fits on the top of the stand. So that's our adapter. So let me get that set up on here. Unscrew the little cap off there. Doesn't matter really, but I tend to take them off with the stands. Pop that on here like this. Undo the wire holding the plug together. Dun, dun, dun. Right. Let's pop those over there. Now the light. The lights come in their own box, and they come with 2 remote controls. I've got one already set up. The lights basically, again, if I just come forward so you can see, it's a screw thread on there, and that will just screw in a little cap to protect it as well. So get rid of the cap, get the light screwed in. That's now in place. There's a little on-off switch at the back there, so whoop, that just needs to be a little tighter on there. Now, to illuminate the background, I'm going to place it just off to the side here, and because I want it in the sort of middle of the background, I'm actually going to lower it down just a fraction on there. So that's going to illuminate this half of the background. And a slight disappointment with it is the length of the cable on here, because I've lowered this and I can still really can't get it over to where I need to plug in. So I have to just pull out an extension I've got, fortunately, and I can plug in on there. And switch on. And then switch on with the little switch at the back. And you'll notice not a lot happens. So I need to use the remote control on. Nope, nothing happening. Right, let's try that again. Right, I'm just going to get one of the lamps from ones I set up earlier because I know that those work, and just test it inside that. So, on and off on the remote control. We've got various options here with the remote. We can change the color temperature, which you probably can't see on here. I can make it more of a daylight balance versus a tungsten balance on there. And I've got control as to how bright I want to make it. So I can do that as well with it. So I want the brightness as high as possible. So that's maximum brightness. And I can switch between, inside the light, there are a couple of daylight balanced LEDs and there are tungsten balanced ones. And you can select between them. That's the daylight, that's both. And that's the tungsten. You probably can't see it on the video. There's definite color shift on there. So I'm going to actually have both on because I want this light to be as bright as possible. So I've got that set up. Now need to sort out why that lamp didn't work that I was originally supplied with. Let's have a look and play with that on the other lighting stand. I'd previously set this one up to save myself a little bit of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug that in here while I try that other lamp. Make sure it's switched off on there. In. and not a lot coming on with that. No, it definitely appears that one of the lamps on this that I've been supplied with doesn't work. So that's going to make it a little bit more interesting on how to shoot this. Never mind, let's crack on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of the other lamps in there, the other one that I haven't yet unboxed. Find out whether this one's working. Make sure it's switched off before I screw it in there. That's in, and switch on, and as you can see that one comes on. So again, let me change the colour temperature to be both, and brightness as high up as I can get it. One of the disappointing things with these is that I haven't got anything which tells me what setting I'm actually on. So if I wanted a particular colour brightness, whilst I can change it, I've got no means of knowing what it actually is from the lights. There's no display on either the remote control or on the lights themselves. So there's a little bit of guesswork going on there about trying to balance the colour between the two lights. So anyway, now here's where we've got a problem. The cable's not quite long enough, so I turn it off, unplug it and put it around the other side. I'm fortunate here in the studio that I've got a lot of sockets available to me, and I've got a lot of extensions available as well in terms of getting this set up. So I can place that on there, and you can see that even that short distance is a bit of a stretch with it. So we're on with that. Try and get the colour brightness to match between them. The colour temperature can be a little bit tricky. That is very bright. That's a bit warmer. So just try warming that up a little bit. Colour temperature. There we go, about as bright as I can get them for the background. So I've got my background illuminated. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to turn out the room lights so that we can see the spread of light on the green background, just so you can see how even that illumination actually is on the background. So I'll turn out my video lights to start with, and then turn out the room lights. And you can see with that, well, you can see I'm in silhouette, but you can see how the light does drop off a little bit with that. So I'm just going to try and adjust these to give me as even a lighting as I can. Now, I can help with that by bringing things forward, but that means I've then got to be a lot further forward when I'm being videoed. So right, I've got to there. I'm in perfect silhouette. So now I want to light for me. So let me get that set up. I'll turn the room lights and my own video lights on while I'm doing that, so you can see what I'm doing. I'll show you the setup with the stand and the softbox, how it all worked, but of course we know we've got a faulty light, so I can't actually demonstrate that in action properly. So the way this works, the softbox, it's got in the middle of it the section that you screw the lamp into, and it's an umbrella style. You just push it until the whole thing locks through in the middle like that. And there's the softbox. We've got the adapters on there, same as I showed you before. That will just sit on a stand. So let me put that on my remaining stand, which is down here. Again, open it up to about that height to set up. As you can see, that's now attached on there, and I can tilt that a long way down or a way up on there. Now, ideally, when you are shooting in the studio, you want to try and mimic how the sun works. So you want the light coming from above. So my ideal position for this would be about here and higher up. So first of all, I'm going to put that light in. I'm not expecting it to work. It hasn't worked on the last two holders I've put it in. So we'll give it a try. That's in there. Plug in. Now for these, the switch is on the cord underneath, so switch it on, and as I expected, not a lot happened. So I think that's definitely a duff light in there. What I would do, if that was working, is I would put the softbox cover over it, the front diffuser. I could use it like that. It's a little bit harsher light. I prefer a much softer light. The way the cover works, it's got a little bit of Velcro on it, and you just literally just hook it over on here. Velcro at the top, Velcro in the middle, hook it over at the bottom, and around here like that. So that would be the softbox in there. Now, positioning wise, I would want it maximum height and pointing in at me. So that would be about the position. Now, I have to say that's not that stable. You see how it's rocking on there as the weight's forward. So the trick with it is make sure that one of the three legs is pointing forward and that the light is over the top of that. So when it's like that, that really is quite stable. So unfortunately that's not working even though it's plugged in. So I'm reliant on just my one other light. So I'm going to bring that in. It's one I'd set up previously, ready for doing this. So I just bring that in to here, and fortunately I can just about, no, I can't reach. It doesn't reach where I want to go, so I need a power extension for it. Let me see where I've got one. Here we go. And now that's switched on and positioned there. So if I was recording something green screen, that's the positioning I would have both my lights to illuminate me. We've got the background illuminated. So in theory, I should be good to go. Going to turn out my own video lights and my room lights. Let's see how this all looks. So it's kind of difficult for me to tell from here what that's going to be looking like because I've only got the light from one side. Ideally, I should be having more light over here, which I haven't got. So it's sort of working. Now, a couple of problems we've got here. You'll notice that it's very easy for my hands to come off that background. That's because I'm a long way forward from it. So even just putting my hands out that far, they're just coming off the green screen, which is a real problem with the editing. The solution to it would be to come further back so that I've got a little bit more screen, but I'm now in the light from the lamps lighting the green screen. Now it can work with that, so I'll just show you, because what I'll do is I'll run at this position, I'll run this through the green screen editing afterwards to change it into a green screen. So now you can see the background behind me, you can see all the stray other things, but there's lots of extraneous stuff here, and you want just me on that background. That's not necessarily a problem if you know how to do your video editing. You can use what's called a garbage mat to isolate the section that I'm in and therefore just effectively give the background on the other bit. So let's do that. So there you are. You can see me in a completely different scene to my studio, all lit with the lights from Fositan and using the Fositan green screen. Right, just to summarize on my experience with this, I wanted to do it live. I hadn't previously set this up to make sure it would work. My experience with it is I'd like to see a taller background because I'm right at the limits on the background there with it. The lights are okay for brightness. Perhaps it could do with being a little bit brighter, but you can see the results. You can see it works. Even with one light, it works. It would have been much better if the other light that I was supplied with was also working. My experience with the stands, again, a little bit lightweight, which can be a plus if you're carrying them around, can be a negative if you are expecting them to hold up to a lot of use. And particularly because the way the tighteners are on the feet, they are reliant on friction in plastic. And first time I used one of them, the plastic went and I've had to manually tighten it with a pair of pliers to be able to do it. So the build quality is okay, but not the best by any means on there. What could this be used for? What would it be used for? Well, this setup may not be brilliant for a studio such as myself, but let me show something else that it could be used for. If I'd need to sort of move this down a little bit on there, maybe bring it in a little bit closer on the here. But if I was a gamer and doing a gaming live stream, I could find the right position for that. I'd probably need to just bring it a little bit further round and up. Same with that one. If I was illuminating the scene properly and I'm seated down, I've got the green screen behind me, you could easily green screen yourself in to the game that you're playing, particularly if you've got your computer system in front of you, you've got your webcam there rather than, as I have, my camera a long way off in the distance. That would work for you. So for that kind of work, that kind of setup, it would be a good starting system, cost-effective way to get set up with 4 lights or 3 lights to be able to create that sort of ambience, that sort of video that you might want to produce. So there we go. That's my quick review of the green screen lights and some of the pitfalls I've had with it. As you can see, I'm not doing a sales piece for Fositan. I'm doing an honest, true review of what I'm finding with this. I'll be back in another day with another Fositan review with the same kit, using it in a different way. So thanks for watching, and until then, keep making great photos. Bye for now.